Hello, I'm Susana, and this is the Susana Gibb Show. I want to welcome you guys back. Today's episode is about something we all love, a party. We're not just talking about a backyard kegger from your college days and, oh my God, thank God, because that would take about a week to recover from. No. We're talking about the kind of party that celebrates hitting your goals. I once heard someone say that people sometimes don't set goals because they're afraid they won't reach them. But how can you ever throw that epic celebration if you don't set the milestone to celebrate in the first place? Our guest today is Debby Jewesson, and she's going to help unpack this whole thing about goal setting. She is a coach and a consultant behind the Roots Group, and she is passionate about helping business owners follow their dreams. And especially now at the end of 2024 and looking up at 2025, it's about setting those goals and looking at those milestones and, planning for the celebration with adult Jell-O shots or a foam party or espresso martinis, which is apparently totally the rage again. Or maybe you just take that party to Mexico and work on your tan and celebrate the hard work and victory. Yes, this is water. It's Dallas's finest if you want to be fancy. It's really all about the party. Hold on, I got ice. Woo! Because when you achieve something you've worked really hard, you got to celebrate. And if you've ever felt afraid to set goals, stay tuned. Debbie's going to show us why reaching for these goals in the first place is important and why the journey is so important. The journey is the whole thing, and the party is just something, at the end that the Beastie Boys would be proud of. So before we get to that, we're going to talk a little bit about our sponsor, Gibb Insurance Services. And you guys, I got to show you. Look! Oh my gosh! This is the second year in a row we've won this award. We are, of course, thrilled that everyone took the time to go and vote, sometimes multiple times to go and vote. Time is my love language, so I appreciate this so much. This makes such a difference for us. When we started 3 years ago, when I bought the book of business for my dad, Google thought we were a new business. And so they had us back on page 10. And so we had literally no call-in business. It was really hard to grow, as you can imagine, if you're running a business and people don't call you to ask about your business. And so we've worked really hard. And to have that is such a huge honor. So thank you again for all of you who did that. We are thrilled. And stick around to the end and we'll give you an insurance tip of the week. And that, my friends, is all I've got on that. It is time to start the show. Debbie, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Well, hello. Okay, so I'm Debby Jewesson. I'm a coach and consultant for goal and growth-oriented business owners. So essentially what I do is I help business owners achieve goals, clear whatever is holding them back so they can not only have the business they want, but also have the life they want.
So it's interesting. Why did this subject of goal setting resonate with you? Because when I asked you about coming on the podcast, you answered in about 2 seconds.
Well, the timing, at this time of year, a lot of clients, business owners, people in general start thinking about what they want for the next year. I looked it up today. There's 43 days left in 2024. So, thinking about what you want is the same as thinking about what goals you want to set for yourself. So the timing is really divine to bring this topic out and have a conversation about it.
So there's this quote, which I kind of love. A wish is something you hope will happen, and a goal is something you write down and strive to achieve. How is it that so many people are resistant to setting goals?
Well, my hunch is that most people default to focusing on doing more for their business, doing more in their life. And so they get caught on what I refer to as a hamster wheel of just um, trying to keep their head above water, trying to keep going, moving forward, doing what needs to be done. And when you get stuck in that sort of a pattern, it's hard to slow down and actually think, oh my gosh, is this what I want? Because there's so much going on, you're just trying to keep your head above water. So I'm not sure if it's a resistance to setting goals so much as it's a resistance to slow down, step away from your day to day life and business, and really think, are these actions, this doing that I'm doing every single day, helping me actually have the life I want, the business I want? Because in most cases, people would say, I don't know. I don't know if what I'm doing is actually getting me where I want to go. I'm just doing what needs to be done so I can keep employees employed or satisfy clients and deliver my products and services or get my kids to school or make sure they're fed or get some clothes on their back. People are just trying to keep up. So my hunch is that it's not necessarily resistance so much as it's um, the not slowing down to actually set goals and think about which one.
Can you share a story about either somebody you worked with or something that you've experienced where you take that situation of that business owner who is wearing so many hats? They're the manager, they're answering the phones, they're cleaning up at night, to how setting up a goal and stopping to step away and being intentional and saying, you know what, I'd like to do this. How am I going to get there?
Sure. So, thinking about what you're asking is, let me just clarify how someone who is in that daily grind actually gets themselves to slow down.
Well, yeah, somebody that you've worked with, whether it's, you can obviously not say their name, but somebody that you have helped and what difference it made in their world when they stopped and set a goal.
Yep. I'm thinking about someone who's been part of my Radical Emergence program. And in the beginning, before she started the program, she would have described her life as chaotic. She owned a very large creative based company and was kind of running willy nilly, satisfying everybody, her children, her husband, her employees, her clients, and not really having a practice of self care, not slowing down, as she put it, to be present with her husband and children, her children who were starting to leave the house. They were getting older. And so she sort of realized, oh my gosh, life is passing me by and I need to pay attention before everybody's gone. And I'm, you know, missed out on this opportunity to connect. So, as part of the program that she participated in, it started the very first week was all about assessing where you are in your current reality, looking at the areas of your life, looking at your level of satisfaction in those areas of life and saying, okay, where can I make the biggest difference in my life that then it would trickle down into other areas? So for her, it was the self-care. It was exercising on a daily basis. It was getting more sleep. And actually, she was at an age where she was starting to have menopause symptoms. And so that anybody who's going through that understands the sleep disruption that happens there, the energy disruption that happens. So what she ended up doing was the next part of the program was creating habits, rituals, and routines to satisfy and be able to take steps on a daily basis to achieve those goals. So instead of, going full throttle all into goal achievement and then fizzling out, habits, rituals, and routines that you're doing steadily, consistently on a regular basis will help you achieve your goals slowly over time versus going full throttle and then burning out and not taking action anymore. So she started doing things like walking every evening with her husband. And so instead of just coming home from work, having dinner, and falling asleep, they started going on a walk before dinner. And they started talking about things they hadn't talked about in years and connecting more. She started taking time away from work to actually go visit her daughter, who is now away at college, and letting her employees do the work while she said, I'm out of office this weekend. I'm going to go spend the weekend with my daughter. She hired a functional medicine nurse practitioner to help her get on a regimen of supplements and a nutrition plan to help her minimize the menopause symptoms, sleep better, and have more energy. So she set the goal to improve her personal life, improve her relationships, and improve her self-care. And then through these habits, rituals, and routines, she actually ended up, getting to where 90 days later, which is part of the program, she felt incrementally and significantly better than she had when she started the program. So much so that she wanted to keep it going. And certainly the accountability of having a program that's led by a coach who's providing regular feedback helped her. However, she just said, part of her regimen as well, weekly, was she was receiving that accountability from the program of, hey, are you taking action on your habits, rituals, and routines? What are you going to do this week to achieve those goals you want to achieve? So I could go on and on and on about her and the program. She ended up registering for the next season, which is another 90 days of personal growth. And it's pretty remarkable what kind of change anyone can create if they set a goal and then consistently take action. And it's the consistency piece that is what makes a difference for people versus the going full force, changing everything about how you live your life, and then burning out and not pursuing the goal anymore.
Gotcha. So if somebody came to you and said, "Hey, Debbie, I I want to set some goals for 2025, and these, I have things that I'd like to change." What would you tell them would be kind of their first step?
Well, my first step would be, let's just assess your current reality. So I do that with clients in one of two ways. Have you ever heard of the wheel of life?
I have, but remind me. Refresh.
Okay, so the Wheel of Life is kind of an age-old, timeless personal growth tool, literally a wheel. And on each, the wheel is divided into 8 pieces of a pie. So there are 8 core areas of life. So think about spirituality, your relationships, your health, your career, your physical environment. Those are some of the 8 areas of your life. And what I encourage clients to do is first look at these core areas and rate them on a scale of 0 to 10. How satisfied are you in each area? So, since it's a wheel, the center of the wheel represents a 0. The outside of the wheel represents a 10. So, you would go into each areas and you draw a dot with where you find yourself in each area. Then what's interesting is you connect the dots
Okay.
and you either have a pretty smooth wheel or you have a really bumpy ride.
Yeah.
And that is very telling. That visual of what your wheel looks like is very telling to clients. Some of them know how they've been feeling, but they feel it at a deeper level after they complete that exercise and have that visual. And a lot of them say, no wonder I feel like I've been on a roller coaster. This says, I am really not satisfied in many of the significant areas of my life, whereas I've been focusing on, for example, my career. Many business owners feel incredibly successful when it comes to career and finance. But if all those other areas are out of whack and you're feeling that low level of satisfaction, no wonder you're going to have a bumpy ride of a life. So starting with assessing Where are you? How satisfied are you? And then simply just looking at that and making a decision, where do I want to create the change? Now that's pretty key. That actual making a decision part. Because a lot of people say they want to create change and they say what they want to accomplish, but you really have to be ready. It's almost like that phrase, you have to be problem aware before you can solve the problem. That's why the wheel of life is so important, because you have to be aware of where are you before you can create the steps to get to where you want to be. So once you see where you're not feeling satisfied, you can decide, my spirituality has really suffered because I've been so focused maybe on career and finance. And my relationships are ranked the lowest. That's shocking to me. Okay, so if I improve my relationship, specifically my relationship with myself, that might actually help my spirituality. And it actually might help, say, fun and leisure, which is another category. So you pick that area that you want to improve on. That's a pivotal area to focus on. Pivotal meaning if you focus on that one area and improve it over time, it's going to trickle down and make a difference in the other areas of your life. So it's being super strategic about what goals you're going to create and really intentional about what actions you're going to take to achieve those goals.
Which that's a two-parter, right? So say you're like, okay, fun and leisure. I am going to set a goal to travel more. Is that a SMART goal? And can you explain what a SMART goal is since we're kind of here at this point?
Yes. Okay. So SMART goals are super important because if your goal isn't SMART, you're not likely to achieve it. You're likely to kind of get off track and not know where to get back on track and go like, never mind, I'm done. So a SMART goal is smart, or it's specific, measurable, achievable. You have to be able to achieve it. It's related to a big picture vision that you have. So you have to have a big picture vision. So it's relevant to the big, 1, 3, 5 year goals. And then it's time specific. So a SMART goal is very important because let's say you had a SMART goal that said, or let's say you have a goal that's like, it's very common. I want to lose weight. A lot of people have that goal at the beginning of every year. I want to lose weight. Well, okay. How much weight? By when do you want to lose the weight? And why do you even want to lose weight? Why is that important to you right now? These are all clarifying questions. To make it a SMART goal, you would say something like, I want to lose 10 pounds in the next 90 days, so that I can feel more energized, feel better in my clothes, and sleep better at night. Now, that's a pretty smart goal. Here's the difference between I want to lose weight and the SMART goal I just said. When you get off track, okay, let's say you go out of town one week, you like eat Mexican food and I forgot something in the SMART goal. You might say like, and I'm going to do it by cutting out all processed sugars and following the Whole30. Okay, that would make it even more smart. Cheers.
Cheers.
So, so let's say you go out of town one weekend. And you're like going to eat Mexican food, and then have some margaritas, and like your goal to not eat any processed sugars and to stay on that Whole30 just goes out the window. But you're in Austin, you're doing Austin things, you're having a great time, and you're like, what's life without a margarita, right?
So you might as well just throw barbecue in if you're down there having Mexican food.
Barbecue too, okay? So here's the difference. If you say, I want to lose weight, you come back home after a weekend like that, how do you start again? Like, where do you start again? But if you have a SMART goal, guess what you do? You go, you know what? It's Monday. I'm going to get back on track. How am I going to get back on track? Oh, it's easy. I'll just cut out processed sugars and I'll follow the Whole30. I know how to get back on track because I know what my goal is and I know how I'm going to achieve the goal. So then you just get right back on track and you just take it one day at a time. Next thing you know, you're 10 days in and you're back on track to your goal.
The other one that I think I hear a lot of, I want to be happier next year. I want to be happier. It's like, well, how do you measure that?
Oh, I love this one. So, okay, that relates to what I call the who factor. Okay. Now, the who factor I've heard about in the coaching world. I also heard about this from James Clear in his book, Atomic Habits, which I'm a huge fan of James Clear. So, what he says in his book is it's really not the goal you're going for. You're going for a bigger, ultimate desired outcome that you will achieve as a result of achieving the goal. So when people say something like, I want to lose weight, for example, I might say, why? Why is that important for you right now? What do you hope to gain as a result of losing that weight? So let's say someone, to play around with your example, says, oh, I'll be happier when I lose weight. Great. I get it. So in order to be happier, can you do other things aside from lose 10 pounds? Like what does someone who is happy doing on a daily basis? So this actually is something I worked with on a coach years ago when I personally worked with a coach from 2016 to 2000. And I said that exact same thing. I just want to be happier. She said, what do happy people do? So I said, well, they smile more. And she said, great. Can you start smiling more on a daily basis? And I was like, yeah, I'll work on it. And I did not feel like smiling more at that point in my life. And then she said, what else do happy people do on a daily basis? And I was like, well, I guess they would laugh more. They would tell jokes. So we just brainstormed. They laugh more. They tell jokes. They dance just because they wanted to dance, you know. They would stand up straighter. They would feel lighter, you know. They would look like this, talk like this. So we just brainstormed. And she said to me, I will never forget it. She said, start doing that stuff on a daily basis. The rest will follow. And I thought, wow, okay, cool. So literally my habit was to smile more, look at myself in the mirror, smile more, to leave the house and smile more. And every morning I did a dance party by myself before anyone else woke up. And it was interesting because it was almost a fake it till you make it sort of thing. But over time, I was committed, by the way. I was like, because if you tell me to do something, I'm going to do it. And if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So I did. And over time, the smiling more, the dancing more, I started telling jokes. I was holding myself differently in public. And I started feeling happier. And for someone, back to the example of losing weight, for you, losing weight, for whoever that may be, losing weight, I offer, is not necessarily about the pounds. It's so important to think about what will you ultimately gain as a result of achieving that goal and losing weight. You know, is it stability? Is it freedom? Is it peace? Is it calm? What is it? And as you pursue that goal, still do the things to achieve the goal, but also do other things to live in what I call the who factor. Your who factor is who you ultimately want to become. And if you're going to achieve that goal, and who you want to be as you're pursuing the life and the business you want.
So can you explain? So if, let's just go back to losing weight as the example, which we set the goal of losing weight. But per what you just said, that's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is maybe I want to feel better and look better in my clothes and be more confident. If that's the ultimate goal, is the losing weight a habit or is it a step of a goal? Like how do you clarify the difference between those two things? Or is it the ultimate desire? The goal gets you to the ultimate desire.
Yeah, the goal gets you to the ultimate desire, the goal achievement.
Okay. So what about the habits that help you hit the goal? How do those rituals and habits, how do they fit in?
So when you think about the goal you want to achieve, so we'll keep playing around with losing weight.
No, what do you want a different one? Let's pick a different one because I feel like we've worked the losing weight angle. Let's say,
Make a certain amount of money.
sure. Yes, because I think that's another one that people are like, "Yeah, I wanna make more money."
Yep. A
Duh.
lot of people want to do that. So let's say someone says, I want to make 10K a month in my business revenue. Let's just pretend uh let's say you want to bring home 10K a month. Let's just pretend, okay? So that's the goal. You make it a smart goal. Um, I want to bring home 10K a month by the end of June 2025, every single month moving forward. Um, let's see, specific, measurable, achievable. If you're making a certain amount starting in January, related to big picture, probably, and then time specific. So that's a SMART goal. Now, what you do after that is you go, okay, what do I have to be doing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis in order to achieve that goal? What do I have to do? So you look at the areas of your business. You look at sales and marketing. What are you doing every week, month, every day, week, and month to get closer to achieving that 10K per month? What are you doing? And really, in a business with a business goal, you would look at sales and marketing, but you might also look at your product and service fulfillment. You might actually look at how you're delivering your product service to your clients, because that could make the difference in your clients coming back to be loyal fans and followers and continue purchasing. So you'd essentially look at the different areas of your business. You would look at what are you going to do on a regular basis. I'm starting to repeat myself, but hopefully I'm making sense. What are you going to do on a regular basis to get closer to achieving that goal? And how do you know you're going to achieve that goal? So for example, some things you could do on a daily basis. And all of this requires even more in-depth work, so I'm gonna go high level here. Let's say you already know your niche. You already know how to find your niche, how to talk to your niche. That's very important. And let's say you know it's Instagram. We'll just make it simple. You know that posting a reel once a day or once a week is really getting the attention you want and driving people to your website. It's converting, fans and followers to phone calls. You're having complimentary calls, and people are actually hiring you for your service.
So it's almost like the habits are like mini goals that you need to set to be able to achieve the big goal, right? Like I have to do all these other things that you're calling habits to achieve the big goal.
Yes, and then
Correct.
there's
Okay.
stepping stones, and then you bulk
Got
the
it.
habits into be in your business systems and processes.
Got it. Okay. So maybe we're not a business owner, right? Maybe we're just trying to set some 2025 goals because so many people like they 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 just don't make it, right? And there's two things, and I read a lot about like why don't people meet their goals? And some people they're like, well, it's fear of failure. I'm fear of failure. But where's the line between fear of failure and just straight procrastination, honestly? Like,
Mhm.
is it just case by case basis?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
for me as a coach, that that simply has to be a conversation with every single client because it is different for so many individuals. So, procrastination versus fear of failure. Um, w these are big subjects. Procrastination. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
mean, with you as a coach, right? Because that's part of your process, right? You interview people to say, okay, is this person actually going to take my advice when I'm going into it, right? But if you don't have a coach, how do you know? Oh, am I have is this I'm actually sabotaging myself, or I'm just flipping lazy, right? Like,
Well, here's the interesting thing. As a coach, I actually don't give people advice.
Yes, I know. I remember
I
that
just
now. You ask
I don't do
questions.
that.
You ask questions.
Yeah, which is why I say, let's say I have a client who comes to me with procrastination. My role as a coach, especially a credentialed coach, is I vow to not tell you what to do. I don't give you advice. I simply ask you questions to help get to the root of what's going on and clear it for good. So, when it comes to procrastination, I might ask, what's a bigger priority for you?
Mm.
What are you making a bigger priority than this commitment you've made to yourself? Because when you make a goal, you are making a decision and you're making a commitment to yourself. And if you're not doing what you want to do, what you said you want to do, then you're making something else a priority. And here's the thing, often that's okay, but people spend their time beating themselves up with the beat up stick, self deprecating, and being so hard on themselves because they shifted goals or they shifted priorities. And it's not necessarily a terrible thing to either iterate and adjust a current goal that's no longer aligning with your priorities because life changes, and it's not productive to um sit in that self-deprecating place when life is coming at you 90 miles per hour, especially when you own a business, um this is why, for me, when it comes to topics like fear of failure or procrastination or goals, even goals, it's so important to be taking a look on a regular basis for yourself and saying, okay, where am I today? Especially if you have so much going on in business, a daily reflection is so helpful to just simply ground yourself and remind yourself, what do you want? What do you want today? Because even a goal like losing weight, even a goal like making 10K a month by the end of June, those things change. A good example is you might have an employee leave, and then that kind of sends you for a tailspin and things shift and you have to adjust priorities. So your habits and priorities, so those priorities might have to be pushed to the side or iterated in order to allow you to focus on what really matters most right then and there. In your personal life, you might have a death in the family. You might have a death in the family. And so maybe that prevents you from eating how you want to eat every day or making that 5-mile walk every morning a priority. Things shift, things change. So the who factor really is, it can be an anchor for people to just on a daily basis, who do I want to be? Who do I want to be? What's one very simple thing I can do? It doesn't have to be complicated. What's one simple thing I can do today to be happier? It's the most simple approach to achieving. It's not even a goal. You're trying to achieve a state of being. I love the quote of, we're not human doings. We're human
Mm.
beings. So, I offer to people, think about who you are being as much as you're thinking about what you are doing.
So it's interesting because let's say I'm the laziest person in the world. Let's just assume that I'm the laziest person in the world and I love putting things off. So you wouldn't try and train me to be better at procrastinating. We would start working on why I'm the laziest person in the world.
Well, we would start working on, yes, what is it that you see that you're doing that's lazy? Why would, what for you makes that okay to call yourself that? How do you show up in your life when you tell yourself you're the laziest person? Is that what you want to continue doing? How is that serving you?
True.
How
There's
is
no way to trick yourself into being more productive, right? There's no like magic pill, like, ooh, or Adderall, right? Like everybody's like, ooh, I can stay focused. Just give me some Adderall and I'll go for it, right? But that's not really treating, that's putting a band aid, isn't it?
it's a short-term fix. And so what I tell clients is I'm not going for a quick fix. I'm going for quick wins. And here's the other thing too. When you can focus equally on who you want to be as much as what you want to do, the fulfillment and satisfaction that you will find in life is related to who you are being. It's not related to what you are doing. It's related to who you are being when you are doing. So, what do we all want out of life? We want happiness, joy, fulfillment, satisfaction. It sounds very cliche, but it is truly possible when you can put as much focus on who you are being, put as much focus on who you are being as you are on what you are doing. That's what will sustain the actions, the habits, the rituals, routines that you create. You will be able to sustain that when you feel satisfied and fulfilled. When you are only focused on doing, you burn out, and any sort of motivation you have, inspiration, it fizzles and dies like a campfire.
How long do you take? I think about this as we come into our very short winter here in Texas when we can kind of hibernate and think about ourselves and who we want to be and what we want to do and who we are. But obviously, like I can sit down here and I can scribble 10 goals right now. But when you encourage people to really sit down and do the wheel of life, take a week, take 20 days, take 30 days. How do you talk to people about what that timeline should look like?
Well, in the Radical Emergence program that I have, it's a 90-day program. We spend the first 3 weeks on assessing your current reality, setting some goals, and then we spend time creating habits, rituals, and routines and exploring your who factor. Those things we do in the first 3 weeks. And they have a lesson and exercise and assignment every single week. Now, in those, I am telling people what to do. They don't have to do it. I know, I know, I know. But it's a program versus a conversation. So they signed up for it. Now, after that's what I call vision planning. So I personally take 3 weeks. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to follow the same routine I personally do. So it's 3 weeks. Participants have enjoyed having that time because and they even say that's a lot. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot for them. And then in the next 3 weeks, what we do is strategy and action planning. So they're creating a weekly flow with time blocking and their habits, their rituals and routines, which rituals and routines, by the way, just a cluster of habits.
Cluster of habits.
And rituals and routines make it easier to do your habits because you cluster them together, like a morning routine, an evening ritual, you know? So, and then they do a 90-day plan. And the 90-day plan is, okay, what are the goals that you're going to focus on for the next 90 days? Because honestly, if you're focusing on more than 3 goals, it's too many.
3 goals for 90 days.
Yep. 3 goals for 90 days is doable.
3 weeks to think about what you want to do. 3 goals over 3 months.
A lot of interior designers would agree with that too, by the way, and prop designers, like, things look better in odd numbers.
Yeah. There's threes and fives, I've always heard.
Yeah, odd numbers. So,
Yep.
and the other thing we do, in that second 3 weeks is they create a theme. So create a theme, and that gets them really excited for the rest of that 90-day time period to stay motivated, to have sort of an anchor and a compass, North Star, to keep them moving forward, keep their eye on the prize, so to say.
Awesome. Well, Debbie, it has gone by so quickly. Is there anything else that you want to talk about before we wrap this thing up?
Oh, is there anything else I want to talk about? I want to encourage anybody that's listening as they set goals and pursue their goals is really just give yourself some grace. You know, there's so much value in taking a deep breath and enjoying the journey, seeing all the challenges as lessons learned, even though that sounds cliche, it's very important. Otherwise, a lot of people get in a rut because they get so hard on themselves. But you know what? We're all human. We're all trying to do the best we can with what we've got. Give yourself some grace, and then get back on the horse. Enjoy the ride a little bit. How I love what I would want to share.
Yay, thank you. How can people find you if they want to find you?
Oh, thanks for asking. I love Instagram. So I'm at the Roots Group on Instagram. My personal is Debby Jewesson, Debbie with a Y. And then my website is therootsgroupcoaching.com. Lots of stuff on there, including some freebies that people can use to help themselves have a better life and a better business, just one simple step at a time.
I was on your website earlier, and I never knew that your vice was cussing. Ah, why is it so great?
It's an energy release. That's why it's great.
Oh, so fun. Well, thank you again, Debbie, for being with us today. All right, I'm going to stop the podcast, but don't go anywhere.
Okay, thanks. Isn't she so fun? So interesting. I start these podcasts and I think we're just going to talk about goals and having a party. But no, we're going to think about who we are as people. Yes, going deep, you guys. On our discussion of how insurance works, here's the problem. Water claims are terrible right now. Insurers are going to drop you like a slippery frog if you've got a bunch of water claims. They have this cool little device now, and we're going to put it on the screen. Water sensors. You can get 4 of them from Amazon, and they sit underneath any place that would have a leak, and they're going to notify you if you have a leak, so you can avoid that water claim even before it happens. If you're in that spot, hit us up. We will definitely try our best to help you out. Mwah. Have a good one.